Hi, I'm Kris Crummett, and I'm going to show you how you can use my preset packs in the STL ToneHub plugin. Right now, I have a session open from a band that I worked with a while ago that I was never fully satisfied with the guitar tones. And now that I have my own tones in the STL ToneHub plugin, I'm going to bring them up and see what I can do with the plugin instead of what I initially recorded. This song is pretty cool. It's a band called Locals Only. These tracks are already out, you can check them out, but I'm going to go back through this session and see what I can rework to make it even better. I'm going to start on the chorus. I have already kind of dialed in a bass tone and a rhythm guitar tone, so I have a little bit of a foundation, but I'm going to open those up and show you what I did, and I'm going to mess around with the plugin and see what other sounds I can get. So let's hear the chorus of this song, and you can check out what I'm doing with it already. So you can hear that it sounds pretty awesome already. This is just the drums and the bass guitar with only an STL ToneHub plugin on it, and one rhythm guitar with only an STL ToneHub plugin on it. And I have them both open here. This one is the bass tone that I'm using, which is a snapshot that I made from a pack that's going to be coming out soon. The guitar tone is also from an upcoming pack that I made specifically for ToneHub, as opposed to the Kemper profiles that were already ported over to this, which I'll show you some of those soon too. But so let's just go through this and let me mess around and see what I got going on. Obviously the DI sounds silly. Let me show you the original guitars that I had going on, just the right rhythm guitar. They're not bad by any means, but they just don't really have like the meat and the gain that I wanted out of it. I think, you know, we kind of went for a certain sound, but in the end, it wasn't quite as full as I wanted. And it's pretty cool that I, just in a matter of minutes, I had dialed in a sound with the STL ToneHub plugin that I like better than what we initially recorded. It's got a little more low end, a little more gain, and honestly, I feel like it sounds clearer. I made a couple adjustments there before I turn the EQ on. Sometimes I like to get where I'm going to be before hearing the EQ kind of like sweep and phase and sound weird. So if you're wondering why I was messing with the EQ before it was on, it's because I like to get to my point and then turn it on and hear the difference. The EQ on this is great though. I really like it. getting out a little bit of those high mids that can sometimes get overbearing with guitars. This DI kind of has a little bit of a nasally sound to it too, so I can cut a little bit of that out. Let me throw this on the other guitar, the left guitar, and let's hear stereo guitars on this. So I'm starting with the right side first because to me that's the most natural when you're tracking guitars with someone. Obviously they're not playing both sides at the same time. So for me, I'm used to hearing one guitar tone at a time. I know some people kind of dial in a left and a right reamp at the same time, but for me, it's easier for me to just hear one guitar and then I duplicate that sound and then I'll adjust the second sound a little bit and listen to it by itself to get a little bit wider sound out of the two guitars. But me personally, I have a little bit of trouble trying to dial in two guitars at the same time. Which you can do with this plugin, but I'm just doing one at a time because that's a little more natural for my workflow. That's sounding awesome. I'm really stoked on that, but let me just hear a couple different tones. So up here we have the different snapshots that I've made of different sounds. All these are my 1983 JCM 800 with what's called a hot mod, which is pretty cool. It adds 2 more tubes to your amp. It only works in Marshalls, but it's super cool. And it's something I didn't have back when I did the profile packs. So I'm really excited that I'm getting to create these tones now with ToneHub. Plus, when we create the tones with ToneHub, they're so much more natural and awesome sounding as opposed to jumping through all the hoops that you have to get Kemper profiles. Profiles can be kind of frustrating to make, so it's been an amazing experience being able to make these tones for the STL ToneHub plugin and not have to jump through hoops and just get the exact sounds I want. Now I love the speaker section of this plugin. One of the coolest things is that you can adjust the microphone, and it does a really good job of starting out where I had the microphone in real life, which is amazing. So we're starting where I left off with the tone. So if I dialed in a tone and I mic'd it up in a way that was really good for one guitar, but maybe slightly too dark or slightly too bright for another guitar that's being used, we can just adjust the microphone placement. I like it right there, that's awesome. And I can just dial in, I mean, it sounds exactly like it sounds when you're moving the mic around on the speaker, which is really cool. And I've also already dialed in a high pass and a low pass, which are really natural sounding on this, like really perfect for guitar tones. And let me start it over and do it again. And the great thing about this plugin is that you have so much control within the plugin that I don't have to do a bunch of processing afterwards like I would with a normal guitar tone. I've got pretty much all the control I need right in front of me. I've got the EQ, I've got all the cab controls, which it's better to EQ stuff at the cab and get the tone right in the first place than try to fix it afterwards. And obviously I have all the amp controls. I've got the stomp boxes and a bunch of effects afterwards, which we don't need for this rhythm guitar, but they're great for leads and cleans and other stuff. So that's the first profile from my first Kemper pack, an Axe-Fx pack, which is now available on ToneHub. It's the Friedman BE100 with an SM57 and an AEA N22. And it's a really cool tone. So let's hear that one and the brand new tone that I dialed in. That's the JCM 800 with the hot mod. I love that. I honestly think that sounds awesome. Here's the old guitars. I did so much processing on the old guitars, and I don't even know if that was a good thing. Again, they're not bad. Still love my guitar amps, but the fact that I can do this and have something just as awesome and honestly more like what I probably should have gone for in the first place, a little more gain, a little more meat. I'm really, really happy about that. And I can adjust it down the line anytime I need to. I'm not set in stone with what I have. So let me close those and let me open up the bass, show you what I got going on here. I love that. I feel like that tone is super cool. And that is my SVT2 with a bunch of stuff going on, a bunch of different mics, and a couple of different pedals. I have it all written down, and it'll be labeled in the pack and stuff. But it was a super complicated tone that would have been pretty much impossible to profile with the Kemper, but STL nailed it. As soon as I sent them the tone and had them process it, it came out perfect, and I love it. I mean, listen to that bass. And I made another tone, bass tone here that I saved. So big and meaty sounding. I mean, that's cool. Tell me that's not a cool bass tone. And those are complete. I mean, those are both my SVT2, but way different tones dialed in. And obviously, we're not listening to the SVT2. We're listening to ToneHub. But the original tone was created with the SVT2 and then ported to ToneHub. And then I'm going to go back and save this because I like the changes I made. And let's hear that other bass tone again. I can't decide which one I like more. I really like both of them a lot. I think for this song I like this sound. That's sounding awesome. Now let's move on and check out the lead guitar and dial in a cool lead guitar tone for this chorus. So I've got the DI here. It sounds cool. We used a pedal to get the tone, and the pedal is on the DI in this case because it was kind of a specific sound. But what's great about ToneHub is that you can use your pedals in the real world, your analog pedals, your digital pedals, and run them into ToneHub and it still sounds awesome. So let's put a ToneHub on this lead. So let's go through and let's go back to this pack and we'll just click around and hear some different stuff. This is the first pack I made, for STL. The first thing I click sounds awesome. I love that. Maybe I'll click around a little bit, but I'm actually really happy with that. That is a 50 watt JCM 800 that was stock that I profiled ages and ages ago. So I'm using this low pass to cut out a little bit of the sizzle. And then I'm going to adjust the mic again like I did on the rhythm guitars. And you can either use the target here or you can use this guy over here. And I'm just going to see where the best mic placement is on the speaker for this guitar tone. I like a little bit of that sizzle. I don't want to completely kill it. I feel like that is a pretty cool spot. Maybe I wanted a hair darker. I like that. I don't even think we need any EQ. Let's add some effects to it though. Let's try the modulation on the delay. And let's hear eighth notes. That one was on quarter notes. For that specific part, I think that sounds cooler because then the notes don't overlap as much. This delay in this plugin is super cool, and it syncs automatically. You can make it not sync if you want to adjust the time yourself, or if you want to enter the BPMs if you're in a session where you don't have the BPM set in the session itself. So lots of options there. I set it to eighth notes. So let's hear this in the mix. Yeah, that's awesome sounding now. You probably saw that I was using the resonance control on this. Speaker resonance is a little bit different than amp resonance, and the control on this adds some highs and lows at the same time. It's not just like a high and low EQ, it's kind of the way the speaker reacts. But you heard as I turned up the resonance, the lead guitar popped in the center a little bit. I don't need that on the sides on those guitars because I want them to sit back and I don't want them to be too distracting, but that really helped make the lead sit above the rhythms. And the cool thing is I've got 4 of these plugins going on right now, right? Where a lot of times with amp plugins and really any digital amp situation, the more you layer, the muddier things get. You might have one tone and you think things are sounding awesome, but then when you double it, you add a second guitar, a bass, a third guitar, they all kind of like sit in the same space and start to sound the same. But something I've noticed with ToneHub is that everything kind of has its own space. So, I mean, you're hearing it in the mix right now. The bass is sitting down low, but then there's that nice high-end attack, and it's not getting in the way of the guitars at all. I've got 2 totally different rhythm guitar tones that aren't distracting on the either side, are working together really well, and then the lead guitar in the center isn't muddy. It's not kind of like bleeding into the space of the other guitars. Everything's really separate, and it's all digital. It's all just this plugin. I'm really happy about that. That gets me super stoked. Now let's go to this verse and let's hear some clean guitars. Now this was originally like a little bit of a dirty clean, but I'm just gonna mess around and see what I can get out of it to kind of get more of a clean sound and a dirty clean and just see what I like the best. So let's hear this DI. This is the verse guitar. So we did record this with some effects on it because it had a very specific sound. Let's throw a ToneHub on here. Also, ToneHub is very nice on your CPU. I've got 5 going and like a full mix worth of plugins going and having no issues at all. Let me go back to my first pack. There's some nice Vox and Fender Super Reverb tones. Let me go through a couple of these. Hear how much cooler that sounds? Now we were going for that kind of Killers type of guitar tone where it's a little bit like lo-fi with the pedals, and then you put it through a nice clean amp and you get that kind of like weird reverby sound, but you can tell running it through ToneHub makes such a big difference. That was the pedal chain that we had. It was kind of like honky and cool and weird, a little creepy. And it makes way more sense in the mix, if you were wondering why the tone sounded like that. It's awesome. I love it.